is the effect of our almost morbid use, increasing use of spaces that are not new and spaces that are in fact not really designed for the purposes for which they are now used. And I think that if you look at the current art scene, that you can very easily reconstruct what the effect is of our increasing use of preservation. And you can probably also reconstruct that where everyone was convinced that Bilbao was the most pure expression of the current zeitgeist, and where cities want to create Bilbaos as a kind of putting themselves on the map. I have a feeling that the Tate will be, in retrospect, a much more important prototype. It's not new, it is an industrial space that is now used for art, and I think you can see the effects of that on our culture. Because this is the Tate, it's relatively modest. This is a number of museums that either has been built since, or have been converted since, or is in the making, in the process of transformation. All industrial spaces, all spaces for art, larger and larger. And of course it is not a surprise that the art therefore has to become larger and larger too. This is Nixon Rota in his industrial space. He basically warned us that before we architects involved in the competition to transform the space, he warned us with this line. However, in a recent survey, most living artists favored, above all, daylight conversions of existing buildings where architectural intervention was minimal. So basically, the same man who invited 6 teams of architects told us, move out of the way for the artists, because the artists can really reverse spaces without architecture. And so therefore we can test what happens if art doesn't encounter architecture. Basically, the first thing, it grows. It finds no contradiction anymore, and it becomes kind of in itself triumphalist. The artist alone in the empty space. You could also say it becomes authoritarian. This kind of space, this kind of art is not the kind of art that you can engage with. It is a kind of art that beats you into submission. This is said by Olafur, and basically people had to kind of lie down to accommodate it. So it's I would say that preservation of large-scale spaces, producing large-scale art, creates a kind of authoritarian dimension in the art. Also, the larger the space, the harder it becomes to find a narrative for that space and for the art. And so, what is the most powerful narrative? The most powerful narrative is always the apocalyptic narrative, the end is near. So therefore, there's also a natural affinity of these spaces and apocalyptic art. This is the famous crack in the Tate that was to be seen as a kind of announcement of things going wrong, but also the current aggravation, I would say, is the kind of same apocalyptic moment. And that is only the history of the Tate, but of course there will be more history, larger spaces, larger elements to be kind of filled. So one way of looking at what is going to be introduced here, which is of course of great significance, great meaning, and great context, but if you look with kind of slightly less respect, and I used to be involved in the kind of movie world, I suddenly realized that for every one of these images, I remember the B movie that kind of presented exactly the same thing. So we are in a kind of moment that, on the one hand, official art and B movie are almost indistinguishable. There's no confrontation between architecture and art, but I would say there's also no pressure that is exercised on the art. The art is surrounded by infinite space, and therefore it can grow infinitely. And so, for me, this is just a kind of evidence of a kind of certain mobility that enters our world.